What's good, music producers? It's Curtis King of Curtis King TV, and I'm here with a quick little sound design tutorial on FL Studio to show you how to turn any bass line note or any bass line that you're using into an 808 using 3 distinct plugins that are native and stock within FL Studio. If you're into sound design, you're gonna love this particular tutorial. Let's talk about it. Okay, music producers, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for clicking on today's video. If you find it to be helpful, if I teach you a few things, at least hit it with a like button, hit it with a subscribe. Either one would be good. Anyways, today we are here with a tutorial to show you how to turn any bass line, any bass note into an actual 808. It's actually really easy, and it shows you the power of FL Studio as you're messing around with some of these stock plugins. Now, first thing you want to do is open up a stock. It could be any bass line. I'm opening up this preset that I found in FL Studio called Future Slap. Now, obviously, it's like a synthesized bass, and I mean, I like to choose bass lines that have, when I'm doing this technique, I like to choose bass lines that already have a bit of character to them because it's just going to make the 808 sound so much more fire. So this one has some characters in the higher frequencies that I think will be really interesting when you take it down octave. So that being said, let's go ahead and just mess around with the length of this. And to do that, we're going to open up the piano roll, and let's start here at C5. And I think this right here is a good measurement. Let me see how long this is. That's more than enough for an 808. Once we have that here, what we're going to do is highlight it, push Control-Alt-C, and consolidate it down. Now that we have it consolidated, we can actually start to shape it, because obviously, I mean, we've seen 808s come in all kind of shapes and forms. I know I have over my years, but as that is right now, it's not that interesting. So what I want to do first is go to stretch mode so that as I tweak these things, it doesn't tweak the actual note from being C, which is where we established this to begin with. But with this bass note, first thing I would probably do is normalize it to get it to a volume that is consistent and sounds good. Next thing I would probably do is start to shape it. So you don't have to do this. It depends on a kind of 808 if you want a short release or a long release, but I would mess around with this in different octaves just to see if I can hear some potentials. And as it is right now, I like the way that sounds. Now I'm noticing a little bit of a clipping in the very beginning. So what I'm going to do is shift this knob over to the right ever so slightly, about 1%. Until I barely notice that clipping in the beginning. That's really, really important. It's something that's really annoying to producers as they're kind of putting these 808s in and putting them in the mix of their beat. Now that I have that, let's go over here to this other knob, this effects target right here, this pre-computed effects, I should say. Then click here on the clip, boost the 808 just ever so slightly, not too much because we're going to be doing that in some of the stock plugins. Is going to bring it out even more. And it starts to lose a little bit of its dynamics in doing that. That's one thing I would do. Next thing I would do is move this EQ knob over here to the right. And shout out to homie Oh Gosh, because he showed me a lot of this in terms of how to do this. And this is actually a really fun process when you get down to it. Next, I'm going to actually take this cut knob and filter it to the left a little bit to get rid of some of those synthesized effects. Not completely, but enough to where I know there's something there. I like the way that's sounding. So next thing I want to do is take that and I want to fly that over here to this 808 channel that I have on a mixer. And I want to show you 3 stock plugins that are going to help you add different types of characteristics to it. The first one being Fruity Fast Distortion. I'm sure you've already heard of this if you've been on FL Studio for some time. When you go on a default mode, that's what it looks like. So what I want to do is basically get it to where it takes on this shape. And the way that we're going to do that is basically take this preamp all the way to the right, take the threshold all the way to the left. We're going to mess around with these distortion types in just a second, but we're going to keep the mix and the post gain here at 100% and we'll adjust it accordingly. But it's coming in really, really hot right now. So what I want to do is change the type of distortion. like this one because it has a little bit more of a buzz. Let's take off some of the post gain, some of the mix, and you can adjust this to your own liking. Now you could stop there, or you can go here to this next one, which is Patcher. It's another one that I like to kind of manipulate the sounds along with. And in order to access that, let's start from the beginning on this one again. You go here to your plugins, you locate Patcher, and then you right click here on the presets, and then go to Simple EQ Bass. Now when we start to move some of these knobs and kind of sweep through the different frequencies, is what you get. If you could hear with the headphones, that's hella subby right now, so it's sounding really good. Let's do the more bass. More mids. Fretless. Don't need that one. Growl. Brilliance. Buzz. Okay, so that's the way I would kind of tweak around with that if I wanted to use that. And you can use some of these together. I think Patcher and Fruity Distortion, you're gonna have to tweak it to your liking because it could be a little bit overkill, especially if you plan on using this last one. This thing right here though, Blood Overdrive, is kind of crazy. So if we go here to the default setting, reset, you have a pre-band feature, you have a pulse filter, and you have a pulse gain and a color. I tend to focus more so on the color and this preamp knob here in the middle, right? I leave everything else pretty much default, but if you can see, just literally running it through it right now, it starts to add a little bit of color or saturation just by turning this knob up. But when you turn this one up, it kind of reminds me of Sausage Fattener to a certain degree. You start getting that really, really clear distortion. And a really crazy effect here, especially if you find yourself in a low-end addiction, or you find yourself really wanting to bring out the oomph, I don't know what the oomph in the 808, then you want to click on this times 100 button, but it's a little bit overkill. That's crazy. I'm gonna take that off right now. Another bonus one that we could talk about is this bass boost. That's FL Studio Bass Boost, Fruity Bass Boost. That's sounding kind of damn crazy. So if we took this now and consolidated it down, that's our final 808, and we haven't even added. That's nuts. That's kind of crazy. So for the last step, you want to make sure that you add a kick of some kind that's going to really bring through sort of just the punchiness and the attack on the 808. Let's try this one. And I want to drag this 808 a little bit off of the grid, just a little bit. Just to give the kick a little bit of room to breathe. So now you see how you're getting the initial attack of the kick, but you're also getting 808 too. I like that. So now let's go ahead and consolidate that down. Let's get rid of this. And there you have it. You just created an 808. You just created an 808 literally from a bassline note. You can do this with any bass, literally any bass. Now, obviously, if you're using this for sound design purposes and to sell sounds, you want to be very careful how you maneuver your next steps, and definitely check like the license agreement and make sure that you're in a position to do that. But this is just sort of some crazy sound design stuff that you can do with pretty much any bass line, and I find that doing this helps you mesh the sounds of your beats so much more. It just sounds like everything is so much more cohesive with everything. But other than that, it's a cool little trick you can show your friends at a party, I guess, if you have them kind of parties. You guys want to see a cool 808 trick? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you do. But that being said, thank you for watching today's video. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Like I always say, in this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to visit slapexperts.com to get sounds that are banging all over the place. And then also, too, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Once again, it's Curtis King of Curtis King TV. Have a good one. Burn. Look up, Nazi. Say cheese.